It's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing, it's an everyday thing when you let your nuts hang. Say it loud, say it clear, immigrants are welcome here. Say it loud, say it clear, immigrants are welcome here.
This is in Denver, Colorado. It's Boston, Washington, D.C.
Our nation's democracy is at stake, and we are here to say we are a nation that will not be bowing down to any authoritarian rule. We are not going to be ruled by a king.
Being here in Germany, especially considering the history that's here, we have a unique perspective to look and say, that's not okay. Normalizing the little things, letting it go down the slope is very much not okay. And we feel like this is one thing that we can do. We can't show up there, but we can show up here.
Okay, so what does this mean? The No Kings protest is a nationwide protest movement titled No Kings, held rallies and marches across cities in the United States, demonstrate against the administration of President Donald Trump. The movement and its organizers accused Trump of authoritarian tendencies and acting more like a monarch than an elected official. Okay? Yeah. So response from officials and media. The Democratic politicians say several prominent Democrats participated in or supported the rallies, including former Vice President Kamala Harris, former Second Gentleman Doug Emhoff, I guess that's her husband, Senate Minority Leader Chuck Schumer, and Senator Elizabeth Warren, Pocahontas. They framed the protests as a defense of democracy. Republicans counter criticism. Republicans dismissed the events as hate America or far left rallies. Some of Trump's political accounts mocked the protests on social media, including one post from a Trump campaign account with an AI generated image of Trump wearing a crown. Wow, that's, hey, they pushing the line. I think Trump is trolling, but he's really pushing the line on this whole Kings thing. Like, so don't put nothing past him at all.
Right now, News Nation is tracking the nationwide No Kings rallies, millions of demonstrators gathering all over the country. These massive rallies demonstrating against President Trump's agenda. Independent Senator from Vermont, Bernie Sanders, expected to headline D.C., and we are bringing you the latest from these nationwide rallies. We've got cameras everywhere. Right now, you're taking a live look at the No Kings rallies in New York and Washington, D.C. on your split. Thousands of protesters are flooding the streets of major metros, calling out the Trump administration. And these demonstrators claim the president is trampling the Constitution. But the GOP is pushing back, dubbing the protests anti-American. We're going to talk about it now. Joining us to discuss, Republican strategist John Thomas, Nest Point managing director, and Democratic strategist Anthony Davis, founder and CEO of the Davis System. Thank you both for being here today. John, let's start with you because we're taking a look at the Associated Press. Nearly 2/3 of Americans disapprove, as we take a look at the numbers, they disapprove of the president's job performance in his second term. So we take a look at these mass protests and we wonder if it signals about the public's perception of President Trump and his policies. How do you see it?
Well, first, a couple things. One is President Trump's approval rating actually has ticked up 2 points during the shutdown, which signals to me that Americans are siding with Trump and the Republicans. And I think I'm not entirely sure, this brings me my next point, I'm not entirely sure what this No Kings protest is about. Are they insinuating that he wasn't duly elected? Are they protesting the military celebration that Trump administration is doing, the same military peace through strength that's bringing unprecedented peace across the world and might bring this Ukraine war to an end? I'm not entirely sure. It seems like they don't like secure borders. They just don't like the Trump policies, I guess. But it also seems like they're saying he's an oligarch. I'm mixed on their messaging, and I don't quite get it.
Yeah, I mean, we've got no king signs everywhere, and there are some other colorful signs there as well. Anthony, Republican lawmakers, including Speaker Mike Johnson, are calling today's protests Hate America rallies. So what do you say to Republicans who claim these demonstrations are anti-American?
Well, I say that when you have Republican members of Congress calling these Hate America rallies, it's not only dangerous, it's quite literally not true. America was founded by fighting a revolution to reject a monarch. And when our country starts to bow to one man, showing up to protest feels as though the most patriotic thing one can do. So to call these Hate America rallies is not only inaccurate, it's dangerous, and it's discouraging of folks exercising their First Amendment right.
Yeah, I mean, we're going to continue to watch it all unfold, but it is many people, we've had a couple of guests on our program today saying that they are concerned about his,
So you have 2 point of views, one more right-leaning, one more left-leaning. The Republican guy, he says he don't even know what's the march about. There's no one wants to be the king. No, well, when you tweet out pictures of you wearing a crown, it's kind of like, just like when he insinuated running for president, not even running for president, but continuing to be president after 2028 because he says you can't have an election during wartime. So what does that say? If a war starts up around 2027, you know the game plan. I mean, it is what it is. Again, when the second guy dropped the facts about how this country was founded, I heard in the earlier video where they said immigrants are welcome here. Yes, they are welcome here, but please come legally, because this is what everything is about. Like illegal immigrants, the government shut down. The more we have illegal immigrants coming, is continuing the problem. But if you could come here legally, welcome. I mean, unless you're from majority white countries like Denmark, where Trump said they want more people from there, whether you're legal or illegal, but that's neither here nor there.
Johnson's showing up and saying what he said. I'm going to actually ask you, John, to weigh in on that before we move on to the next subject.
Yeah, I actually think Speaker Johnson's right here. I mean, it seems like what the protests, if I'm trying to parse through some of the signs and language here, but it seems like the protests are largely protesting, again, some of President Trump's and the administration's most fundamental policies that got him elected by the people. That's the opposite of a monarchy, the opposite of a king. These policies are immensely popular. And look, a lot of the protesters that I've seen just through watching video are anti-Israel, pro-Hamas, pro-legal immigrant, anti kind of American immigration policy. So I think it's fair for the speaker to say what he said here.
All right, I'm going to give you a chance to weigh in. Anthony, I see you shaking your head.
Well, when you're in the middle of a government shutdown, when people have seen mass officers carrying out immigration detentions, federal troops occupying American cities, education resources, environmental and voting protections being slashed, one can question how popular these decisions by the Trump administration truly is. And we can see that in the approval ratings, and we can also see that in 2,600 events being organized, not only here in America, but worldwide today.
So I am here in Houston, Texas. Behind me, we're seeing the start of the day's No King's Day programming. We have a couple thousand people. You may not be able to fully see them, but they're going to be walking up the street, up Walker Street to City Hall, where they expect upwards of 15,000 people to again gather in today's No King's Day protest. Now, several people I've spoken to say this demonstration, a direct response to what they feel is an infringement on their constitutional rights by the Trump administration. Some people pointed to things like Jimmy Kimmel's show getting pulled, other people pointing to the administration's attacks on DEI, and others referencing what we've seen from ICE and Immigration and Customs Enforcement personnel as they ramp up deportations.
He also forgot to mention the indictment on Letitia James, the indictment on, was it James Comey, more indictments to come. People who politically attacked Trump during his first administration, Trump is now going after them, which further explains, hey, I mean, he might not be a king because it's America. He might not be a king, but he's showing a lot of actions that kings would make had they had the power. If he had the power, they would be in prison right now. Let's just put it like that. If he had the power, those people would be in prison. He specifically appointed a judge to target Letitia James and James Comey. He specifically did this. If that's not, you know, a monarch, then it's close to it.
Jimmy Kimmel is allowed to say whatever he wants, and it was a very soft hit, frankly, and then suddenly he's...
Organizers say 1 million people took to the streets today across the U.S. protesting the Trump administration with so-called No Kings demonstrations. This is the third No Kings Day we have seen since President Trump returned to the White House. Protesters today pushing back on the government shutdown and the administration's federal takeover of major cities. News Nation's Mills Hayes is live for us in Chicago. Of course, one of the administration's biggest targets with that, federal takeover. Mills, what's the latest on the protest there?
Hi, Brooke. Well, there still are some protesters that are trickling about, but most everyone has dispersed. And there were thousands, if not tens of thousands of people that were downtown earlier today. It started a little bit before noon, and then it lasted for about 3 to 4 hours. And we saw tons of people out there, people who are really frustrated with what's happening right now with the Trump administration. And of course, Chicago has really been a flashpoint for a lot of the immigration policies from President Trump. We've seen ICE enforcement operations all across the Chicagoland area. And of course, we've seen those protests outside of the Broadview ICE facility just west of Chicago. And we spoke with lots of people who were frustrated about that, of course, and even one immigrants' rights leader saying that this month has been the most horrific month for the immigrant community here in Chicago. And we even saw Governor Pritzker join the marchers as they left from Grant Park all the way downtown. They walked for about 7 blocks until they got to Trump Tower. And in order for all of those people to actually walk those blocks, it took almost 2 hours for those people to walk through the streets of Chicago. And we spoke with one Chicago police officer who was here during the first No Kings rally in June 14th in Chicago, and he told me that this one was about 3 to 5 times larger than the one in June. Of course, that one also coinciding with the 250th anniversary of our military, that huge military parade, as well as President Trump's birthday. But here today, lots of people, and we were able to speak with some protesters and even got to speak with Governor Pritzker really quick. Take a listen.
Look at the crowd. Look how peaceful, and everybody's standing up for democracy. I love it. Oh my God, if he's not hearing us, he's not listening.
I'm an aunt and great aunt, and I'm completely against the fascist way that the country is going. And I sent the idea to a friend of mine, and she made the shirts for us, and we just decided this is what we need.
Nor my kids. They're brown. For my husband, I make him carry his passport everywhere he goes.
Those women, if you guys could tell, were wearing shirts that said Antifa, a play on the words, of course, from the group Antifa. And President Trump's administration has designated Antifa a terrorist organization within the last month. And those women telling me that to them, that's not what Antifa is all about, saying that it's not an organized group and that it's really just people who are against fascism. And that's what they see the Trump administration as. And so it was really peaceful throughout the day. And we also saw a lot of people wearing costumes throughout the day, the inflatables, and people wearing Statue of Liberty costumes as well, Brooke.
So Antifa is really anti-fascism, and they turned Antifa into a criminal organization. Is that what I'm hearing? That's... Oh, man. Well, at least they're not young Republicans.